All right, guys, we're just about all set when it comes to the real estate episode. We have all four parts just about situated after this one. We talked about definitions, use cases, how you can get involved yourself, and now I'm answering questions directly. So, mind you, this is not the only time I'm going to talk about real estate. If you have any other questions, make sure to hit me up, DM me at any point in time, and let me know. But this should check all the boxes. So if you're not getting involved, it's really on you. The first question is it better to buy and rent out or buy, flip, and sell? Or use both? This is a great question. I say buy and rent out, especially if you're starting off, because you'll be able to build wealth over time. And as I said earlier, you're able to make, three different types of wealth, three different types of income when you use that model. Now, don't get me wrong. Development is super cool. It's super dope. And you can make a lot of money too. And you can make a lot of money quickly. However, when it comes to development, there's a lot of moving parts. And I would rather formulate those relationships with the rent out model first, as opposed to just getting straight into it. So if you're just saying from a blanket model or a blanket statement, which one is better, it really depends on the person. But for a beginner, I would say definitely start off renting out and being that landlord. If you have the opportunity to do both, of course, that's the ideal case scenario. The next question, where should you buy and how do you get the best rates? So the first thing I want to say is know where you're going to be buying. Know the people, know the mentality. I know a lot of people might be saying like, don't stereotype a certain aspect of people, etc. However, you have to be realistic. If you're in a situation in which a lot of people may not be paying rent, or a lot of people may have the mentality in which they, don't upkeep their property, and that's evident by other properties around the area, you're going to be subjected to that as well. So make sure your location is something that you're comfortable with, first and foremost, in terms of maintaining your property. When it comes to being in a situation in which you're getting paid, obviously your vetting process is going to be very important when it comes to having the tenants come in. How do you get the best rates? This is very specific to the market. However, if you're using your rent model, like I said, as opposed to development, you're going to be in a situation in which your rate isn't too important because you're just more concerned about the month-to-month profit. Over time, of course, the property should appreciate, so you shouldn't be worried too much about a couple of percentage points here and there. But when it comes to where you want to buy, I say buy somewhere where you're comfortable going to, you're comfortable with the area, and you're able to maintain your property and have your goals. And then when it comes to the best rate, don't focus too much about the rate. I say look a little bit more into your profit margin each month. So obviously you're going to take into account the overall price of the house and overall inflation of the market at the time. But like I said, don't be a little bit too particular on this area and have it debilitate you or stop you from actually jumping into it, because this can definitely be alleviated with your profit margin each month. Next question. What's the best way to get started in real estate? The best way to get started in real estate is right here. To mentally say, you know what, I'm going to get involved from an investor standpoint, or I'm going to get involved from an agent standpoint, or whatever the situation may be. Because there are routes for you personally, like the person I'm talking to right now, you, to get money from it. There are routes. Now, it may be a little bit harder depending on your background, your profile, your job, etc. But I'm sure there's a way for you to get involved and for you to make a lot of money and build wealth over time, regardless of who you are. You might have to do a little bit more things in order to be validated or situated. But listen, there's a way to get it done. You just have to find it out right here. Now, if you also look into my my part 2 when it comes to use cases after definition, I talk a little bit more about the specifics on how to do it and get involved. Of course, there's definitely the specifics on how to do it. But just to answer the question really quickly, I would say make sure from an external standpoint, after you internalize the fact that you want to get involved, make sure that you get in contact with a good mortgage broker or mortgage lender, because they're going to help you tremendously. They're going to make sure that the money is situated and everything is good and copacetic for you to be able to buy and purchase your first property. Next, are we in another real estate bubble? Guys, I know a lot of people may be saying like we're in a bubble or the prices are astronomical. The word bubble is being overused. Trust me. A bubble, you know when you're in a bubble. Bubbles have crazy things go on. things that are astronomical. As you look at back in 2008, you have people buying 3, 4, 5 houses in the same day. Credit checks and background checks are essentially not even being done. That's a bubble. When crazy things are happening and you're in a situation where just about everybody has access to entering, then we're going to use the word bubble. If we're in a bubble now, it's the very, 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 very beginning. All I would say is right now in terms of the rates is they're a little bit higher than normal. They seem to be plateauing as of, what are we in? August 31st, 2021. So yeah, if we're in a bubble, it will be seen within the next, I'd say 6 to 8 months. As we are now, though, I definitely wouldn't call it a bubble. It's just, it's a seller's market. That's all I would say when it comes to that situation. The next question. Do you really have to live in your house when it comes to an FHA? Now, according to the documentation that you're signing, yes, you're supposed to be living in your house. I think the minimum is 6 to 9 months before you move out and have somebody rent it in. But off the record, well, on the record because I'm being recorded, as long as you're paying your bills, nobody really cares. You see what I'm saying? When it comes to legal matters and things like that, it becomes more and more important and situated when things aren't happening the way that they're supposed to be happening. So if you're handling your business and you're not there, like hypothetically, you really don't have to be living there. I know of cases, I know of scenarios in which nobody has slept in their house whatsoever, and there wasn't no adverse effects. Now, I'm not advising you to do something against what you're signing to, but if that's your major, drawback, I would just say, look at it from a more practical sense. And as long as you're paying your bills, more and more people in situations when it comes to banks are, happy and they're copacetic. What I will say though is always make sure that you have your own mailbox at the property, regardless of whether or not you're staying there, just in case you need some documentation sent there. Another question about location. How to determine which market or neighborhood to invest in, and what platforms do you use? So this is a good question. Obviously, people are concerned about where they're going to buy, and that's very important because the biggest thing about real estate is location. I almost said location instead of real estate because it's just that important. Just make sure you're in a situation where you understand important things that's going to be relevant to your tenant. How close it is to entertainment, how close it is to good schooling, the neighborhood, crime watch, etc. You want to make sure that the area in which you're investing in is going to be able to sustain itself over time. You don't want to be in a position in which the area in which you're investing in is only good for right now, or once it becomes profitable, it's going to be too far in the future where you're not going to be able to sustain yourself. So make sure that you're in a position, especially when you're first starting out, that you're comfortable going to, you know a little bit about, the community seems welcoming, and you're in a situation where you can check all your boxes within that location. If that's not able to be done, you're really not going to be able to feel comfortable with your first property, and that's not something that I advise doing. You want to have as much comfort as possible. Okay, why am I wearing a glove? I actually injured my hand. It's being healed right now. I didn't want it to be a distraction, but obviously the glove is a distraction. This looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing than what's under it. So that's why I'm wearing a glove. Am I a real estate agent? No, I'm not a real estate agent. I work with them. I'm on the other side. I'm on the buying side. In school, I was kind of interested in possibly getting into the selling side, but more important and pressing things came up. And I'm going to be talking about that a little bit going into the next episode. So if you guys have any more questions, let me know. DM me. I can answer you directly, or I could do a whole nother part 2 for when it comes to real estate Q&A. But other than that, guys, let's get into it. Make sure that you yourself, I know you've been looking at real estate for like the past 3.5, 4 years, and you like, yo, what can I do? I don't know if I have enough money, yada, yada, yada. Look at my videos. Call me directly, hit me up directly, email me directly, and let's work on how you could do it. Trust me, I'm not going to charge you or nothing like that. I just want to make sure our people is taken care of, and we get into it. All right. So if you have any other questions, make sure you hit me out. Don't hesitate. Hit me up and don't hesitate to reach out. But yeah, guys, let me know. It's a flat situation. Just hit me up, and let's get right. Let's get this money, especially in real estate. Let's build wealth, pass it down to our children, grandchildren, etc. It starts here. So let's get right. I'll see you guys next week for a totally new episode. It's going to be very important, and I'll see you soon.